Yes, we're men, but we have feelings too. So I do care about you so much that when you betray our relationship as brothers, it's heartbreaking, right? Just because we're not involved sexually doesn't mean our relationship is less important. It doesn't mean it's a relationship that doesn't require trust, loyalty, support. Yo, welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Valentin, and this is a channel where we talk about men's mental health, masculinity, vulnerability, spirituality. And if that sounds like your vibe or something that you want to get into, subscribe now. So, in the male community, I'm sure you know this, it's much easier to say fuck you, bro, than I love you, bro. So, this to me is something that got me thinking, how then do we show our love for our brothers? Because you can't be saying I love you all the time. That's like sus. It's like, yo, easy, easy. How do we show our love to our brothers? So I suppose that's the theme of this video. If the words are taking us to a point where we say pause, 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 then how do we show it? So yeah, this is one of the things also you can let me know in the comments. How do you show your love to your fellow brothers without being sus, of course? So this got me thinking about the dynamic of male relationships, my friendships, because that's all I can work off. Sometimes I feel our friendships are fragile. There's a fragility to them because it seems sometimes they dissolve over a female, or when one of your friends gets in a relationship, it gets quiet, right? They neglect the other side of it. I've done this as well, like, to be completely honest with you. So I do understand that it's not all, it's some. So I'm not generalizing at all. And the reason why I say that is because I've had mates cancel on me, and I know well and truly it was because of a female. I know this because the next time I see them, they'll be telling me about this girl. So obviously I know, like, you cancelled on me the last time, or the last several times, because of her, this new flame, right? Or perhaps they were busy or something. I don't know. People have their own lives as well. You can't always expect people to be there and to always meet your plans, etc. Although when it comes to my female relationships, and when I say female friendships, I mean like friends, no benefits. I don't do that. No benefits. No, like, those fuck buddies. None of that. Just you, me, like friends. So what I realize about those dynamics is that they're so consistent. When we plan something, it happens. When we plan a date and we put a time to it, it happens. Some people just need you to follow up with them. Some people just need to be the night before, text them, we're still good for tomorrow. Text them again on the day, we're still good for later. Which is fair. Although I feel sometimes with my female friendships, I don't have to do that. We set a date, we know we've blocked off on the calendar, and even if it's just a call, we block it out and it's honored. That's the word I would like to use. Honored. It's honored, right? So yeah, maybe I haven't been. I'm not saying all my friends are like that. Obviously, I have some really great friends, and if you're watching, like, obviously, you don't do that if you're my good friend. So I'm just talking about the dynamics where it doesn't work. Otherwise, what's the point of recording this video if the dynamic works, right? If it's what did they say? If it's not broken, don't fix it. I'm not sure if you can hear the thunder. Jeez, English weather, man. It's the middle of July, and anyway. It's a completely different video. It's hard. I mean, of course, I'm not comparing it to, because females like to talk a lot, but I feel sometimes as men, we stay on the surface too much. There's a lot of just noise that doesn't matter. And then you hear this guy was going through this. You're like, why didn't you tell me? Like, did you not think I was going to show up for you? Did you not feel that I was able to give you that space? So I'm curious. I'm gonna ask this question as we go along, just to keep it in mind, which is, how then do we show love? My luck is that I have both dynamics to reference, the women and the men. What I can't get over is how some guys would ruin your friendship because of a female. Like, how can you as a man ruin your relationship with your fellow brother because of a female that you just met, right? You just met her, but me and you have been friends longer than her, but you're gonna just ruin our friendship over her. From personal experience again, I've had a friend, yeah, who just ruined the relationship because of a woman. And it just got me thinking, like, what? How? And if we're talking about those dynamics, it seems right whenever sometimes, like for example, when I was younger, there were these guys that would turn into comedians when we were hanging around female company. It's it's like at my expense or at someone else's expense. Like, why do you have to turn into a comedian now? you know? I'm not sure if I did that as well because you never know. Sometimes you never know what you do to other people. So you could do something that is, you think it's trivial, the other person feels it more than you. And you know what they say, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. So you never really know how some people feel about certain things that you did because maybe to you it was just something, laughable, but to them it was cutting and it hurt them. So anyway, I don't know, but I take full responsibility for my actions, whether past or present. I'm extremely lucky to be surrounded by friends who are supportive and trustworthy and reliable and all that. But I understand that it's probably not everyone's experience. But I've also had the experiences where my male friendships didn't go so well. And Russ speaks about it in some of his interviews, like, yo, because my friend was so supportive, I was like, yeah, sure, do it, you kill it, right? He just executed without thinking twice about it. But that came from his friend, right? Someone close to him. Because that's why most of the times the people who destroy our dreams are the ones closest to us because they ridicule us or they just laugh it off because they're not taking us seriously or they're just meaning it in a humorous way, but it discourages us in the long run. And that's not their fault. It's maybe the dynamic of the relationship. Right? So I think being a supportive friend is very key because I feel it from my friends and they're extremely supportive and that gives me the courage to keep going with whatever I'm doing. And I'm also the friend who is extremely supportive. So I suppose there's a karmic energy, every action has a reaction. So yeah. I think the reason why I'm even speaking about this is because I feel with enemies it's easier. It's easier to know where your enemies stand because it's like that guy hates me. Right? He hates me. He doesn't like me. Okay. I know where he stands. But generally with your friends, it's a bit foggy, right? Because you hold them close. It's like, oh, you're my friend, so you're close. But then if their motives are unclear, that could be damaging to you in the long run. So speaking of motives, I find it super strange when some people, well not some people, some men, some friends, they try to sleep with your girlfriend. Like, what? I thought we were boys. Like, what's going on? That's a very cancerous energy and it's really disappointing and heartbreaking. I've had my heart broken by one of my good friends. And it's jarring because it takes you back. Like, wait, not him. Nah, not him. I thought we were cool. Yeah, so it's quite challenging sometimes to digest that. It's hard to comprehend people's motives because you never know what someone's thinking. But when you have them close to you and they're just erratic, that's not cool because we are here on this planet to elevate, to continue to grow, to be better people. And if there's someone who's holding back your growth covertly as well. So yeah, I think knowing your friends intimately is so important because that saves you a lot of trouble and headache. Because also, speaking of knowing your friends intimately, I think if you know them intimately, you will start to see that, okay, something is wrong with my guy. Like, he's not, where is he? You know, we usually do this together, or he's strangely quiet. Like, what? What's he doing these days, right? But when you're so distant and so disconnected, you would never know if someone is going through it, because we all go through it. And us as guys, it's not in our nature to like, oh bro, I'm going through it now. Usually we wait until after the fact. And sometimes I think, I mean, I hate to say this, but that's also one of the reasons why some men end up ending their lives, because they're going through it and it just breaks them. But they're thinking they need to go through it alone. But you don't have to go through it alone. I mean, I saw a video recently on Instagram that made me so uncomfortable. A guy was hanging himself. I would rather you record something, video of you crying. You can look back at it and be like, wow, I was really down in the dumps for that one. Whereas a video of you ending your own life there's no coming back from that, obviously, right? But if you record yourself in your worst moments, maybe that can give you a reference point. Because I've had this myself, where I look back at some of the stuff I was stressed out about, some of the stuff that really got me intensely down. And I look back and I'm like, that's so silly. To think that stressed me out. To think that was the thing that I was so hung up on. Right? And imagine if I'd ended my life over that. I wouldn't have the opportunity to reflect and say, oh, that was so silly of me. Because sometimes our brains, like our minds, make things bigger than they are. We have a tendency to amplify and over exaggerate. So yeah, I guess that's a tangent from motives, but I hope it's linked. I hope you see the link there, because if you know your boys, you can really be there for them, because we're talking about actions here. We're not talking about words, because as I said before, your actions are gonna show that, which is so important for me. Because what's important for me is I look at people's actions and patterns, because patterns and actions never lie. They're consistent. You can tell me that you're doing something, but if I'm watching you, you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. Even I see this with my clients. My clients, you know, we have a call, we have a chat, we set goals, we set things to move forward. I take their word for it, but the most important thing I do as well is keep track of their actions, and I do that by our next session, because in our next session, that will show if they're still dealing with the same thing, which sometimes I understand is completely, it's deeper, because that's when I need to refer them to therapy if the coaching sessions are not helping, which is understandable. But if they're doing the same thing over and over again and they're not actually progressing, or they're not following through with what we said, that's going to show in the sessions, right? Because we're going to be dealing with the same thing, and essentially it's going to get to a point where I will have to excuse myself from that, because I could see that this relationship is not working. You're not ready for it, because things only work when you're ready for them. So yeah, I suppose that ties into my next point, which is that watch people's actions, and yes, take their words for it, but actions are more important, because with actions, they're going to really show you who you're dealing with, so that when they're off, right, they're experiencing a little bit of turbulence, you can be there as a person to help them steady the plane, if we could stick with that metaphor. So yes, like I said before, let me know in the comment section, how do you show love to your brothers, and how do you show up for them, and how you stay consistent in your relationships with your brothers, and also, what is love to you? How do you know that your brothers love you? How do you know that they're there for you? What are they doing for you? So yeah, if you've had instances like that, I would like to know them, or I would like to know how you're going to be showing up for your fellow brothers and keeping an eye on them, because it's important. Like there's a silent epidemic out here which is killing us, and it's not okay for us to just go through it alone, because we're not alone. And I know we're not talkers, but just hanging out and just find a way to have those deeper conversations. I know, no one likes a pity party, but if you find a way to have those conversations, is you're going to build stronger relationships. You don't have to have 20 people. It could be just a handful. But that handful is a strong handful that you can share with and that share with you. And you keep each other afloat. Because that's what true friendship is. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you haven't already, do subscribe. Check out some of my videos that I talk about things I've mentioned, spirituality, vulnerability, and all of that. And you wish to get over your limiting beliefs, I'm here for you, brother. Or you just want me to listen, I'm here for you, brother. Just contact me. My contact details are somewhere in the description there. So thank you so much for watching. And I'll speak to you soon, my friends. Until next time.